When you think of Megaten, one name probably comes to mind, Kazuma Kaneko. If you're me, if not, you think of Cozy Okada. Here's a man who I wanted to talk about at length in a video style like my Shoji Meguro video, which you should totally check out. But he's not got a lot of info regarding him online or otherwise. So, in lieu of this, I will focus on the question in the title of the video for now. And hopefully, I will find a cache of interesting info regarding him. Here's the cliff notes. Koji Okada is credited for being one of 6 or 7 people who created Atlas. Yes, this short blurb I found on the internet is not even sure how many people founded Atlas. And no, Kaneko joined Atlas afterwards, so everyone can stop saying he is a co-founder of Atlas. An important thing to note is that during Cozy's time at Atlas, and even now, everyone is involved with the writing and the ideas. At the time of Digital Devil Story, there was less than 20 staff, so it's important to remember that even though Cozy's official credit in something like SMT1 is simply programmer, that doesn't mean he was not responsible for so much more. So, he was integral to the creation of the big 3. Persona, Devil Summoner, and Shin Megami Tensei. Not only that, but he was also involved in the first of the Digital Devil Saga duology. There was a point in time where he and Kaneko were the heads of Atlas's vision, and also the black-coated torchbearers who would really let us know how much Atlas loved wearing black. But soon, before the release of his last project, Digital Devil Saga 1, Cozy left Atlas. Why did he leave though? As my dear friend Simply Dad mentioned in his video regarding Nocturne, that game was a bomb in terms of their expected sales. By the way, please check out that video. It's pretty good. Anyway, the common consensus is that perhaps he was tired of the restrictions of shepherding a franchise like Megaten, which only allowed for so much creativity. Sifting through various interviews involving Cozy are interesting because very few really give much insight to his perspective on design, what Megaten is, or even why he did the things he did. But every single one gives you the impression that Megaten was his baby. And he was ambivalent. On one hand, he had a lot of passionate staff, a great passionate fan base, but the sales didn't never quite stack up for him. And more often than not, the very ambitious nature of Cozy Okada's game direction or production led to mediocre sales despite high praise for the product, which even then wasn't that consistent. This is most evident with projects like Mach X. In an interview, the pride and excitement Cozy Okada exudes is palpable. It was long, alright. We wanted to work on it a bit neatly, but my superiors said they wanted more. Not to mention, we got interesting ideas while we were working out the contents, and the scale got bigger than in the beginning. We thought we should release it sooner, but we kept adding things and we needed more people, and it took even longer to implement them. But to a certain degree, I am sure we got a good result. It makes me feel positive, and this includes the challenges we faced too. The game got decent enough scores, with most being around 7 or 8 out of 10, but the game undersold, only breaking around 70k units in its lifespan in Japan. Granted, it was released on the Dreamcast, and would later be ported. It still outsold Persona 5 Dancing as well, but I could see this sort of thing being a disappointing return and reducing enthusiasm. Add to that this was a title not related to Megaten, which allowed for a lot of creative freedom, still not being very well received. Add the relentless push that they made for Nocturne to be a success, but instead of hitting financial benchmarks, they kind of failed to do that, and that might add to it. And that's all confirmation of the primary factor of his departure: a lack of creativity, a lack of creative freedom. Before Digital Devil Saga was even released, Cozy was gone. He created Gaia in 2003. His statement regarding his departure was, when you work in the Japanese game industry, you notice that the shift is only towards creating games based on established franchises, sadly. I felt very strongly about doing an original game and trying something I had never done before. So that's why Gaia was created. Although he's considered to be the person who made Megaten what it was, the shackles of continuing a franchise was too much. Ironically, his next new game featured music by many famous composers who were all known for their work in other long-standing franchises. including the likes of Yoko Shimomura, Yosunori Mitsuda, and as well as Tsukasa Masuko, a frequent collaborator with the early Megaten titles. The first thing Cozy Okada managed to do was create missions for a From Software PSP title called Tenchu, Time of the Assassins. This was 2 special missions obtained from a pre-order bonus UMD movie. The movie contained a code, which would then be used on the website when that allowed you to download the missions. Okada describes his first title, Monster Kingdom Jewel Summoner, as an RPG about summoning monsters from jewels and having them fight enemies. The emphasis was on the Ren Race system, a trading system where you'll raise your monsters. Monster Kingdom featured over 100 different monsters, supplemental quests, and it was designed to be played well on the go. And initially this title was met with a lot of interest and some positivity, as seen here. There's a level of excitement that is still felt in his comments regarding that game, and that made it all the more tragic when the game didn't sell well at all. And even worse, it was considered mediocre at best by most people, being written off as a standard RPG with Pokemon clone gimmicks. Though this was a typical Western sentiment in the East, it scored high with Famitsu, and even though some people still compared it to Pokemon and even more so to Megaten, it was still pretty positive. The thing that received the most praise though was the score, and that led him to work on a new game, Folk Soul Lost Lore, or Folklore in the West. A Celtic lore-inspired game set in Ireland, this game abandoned the monster collecting and monster raising of Monster Kingdom and focused instead on creating an action RPG where the player chooses between 2 characters, Ellen, a university student who receives a letter from her dead mother, and Keats, a journalist from an occult magazine called Unknown Realms, who gets a call from a woman panicked about potential homicide via fairies. This game was not developed by Gaia, but instead was worked on by the now defunct Game Republic, responsible for games like Majin and the Forsaken Kingdom, and Genji and the Dawn of the Samurai. Here, Okada is a co-producer with Yoshiki Okamoto, who worked at Game Republic. The influence Okada had could be seen by the premise alone, whereas Yoshiki's hand could be seen in the gameplay. Although the game was somewhat well received, its sales prevented a sequel, which was pitched to Sony as a Sony Move exclusive or a PSP title. From there, Gaia moved to mobile, first with a mobile RPG, Swallowtail Dark Legend of the Dark, based on the film Swallowtail. Cozy had one more major project, Coded Soul. This was another PSP title, this game being developed by Gaia. The premise doesn't really surprise much. In Coded Soul, you play as Jay, a soldier who travels to the world of Idea to save his girlfriend, May. The army had been conducting research into Monolith Gate, the door to the world of Idea. That door is controlled by Gale, a young boy who gives Jay a special power as he travels to the other side. That power is to control monsters 2 at a time with over 100 to choose from. At this point, at least to me, it feels like Okada may have been just a one-trick pony chasing a ghost. Hilariously, Google tells me the full title of the game is Coded Soul Inherited Ideas. Though idea means something else in this game, it's still humorous to me. This game has never saw a release outside of Asia and was sadly Gaia's last major release. Unless you count the game made with From Software, Ron Q Highland in DS Poo Poo Alien Appears Outsourcing Service Fart Festival SP. Released in 2008, and yes, that exists. That same year, Gaia was meant to create a game called Cosmic Walker for the Wii. A small clip was released of this action-adventure game that quietly was cancelled, and I couldn't find any statements from Okada regarding that game. It seems that by this point, the pretense of doing big new games was instead replaced by making mobile phone games. Next, his company released Hexagon Puzzle, a puzzle game, Pocket Flower Ver Tulip, a tulip growing simulator, Welcome to Mahjong Club, and Welcome to Mahjong Club 2, a 4-player mobile game with a story mode based around Mahjong, followed by Sword and Poker and Sword and Poker 2, games that combines RPGs with poker. By January 2010, the website for his company was still up, but by the end of the year, the main website was now gone with only a "sorry we're closed" message left in its wake. Though the mobile app's website still is up to this day. And by this time we realized that his obscure game company only squeaked by, using his connections to other famous video game creators to collaborate and create new games, and that kind of didn't work for him. Interestingly, despite the site going down. In 2013, he collaborated with Konami to create Dracul and Poker, a spin-off of the Konami moneymaker known as Dragon Collection, combining both that and the RPG and poker elements of Sword and Poker. And here's where it gets wild. April 2016, the Panama Papers were leaked. The Panama Papers are 11.5 million leaked documents that detail financial and attorney-client information for more than 200,000 offshore entities. The documents, some dating back to 1970s, were created by and taken from Panamanian law firm and corporate service provider Mossack Fonseca. The documents contain personal financial information about wealthy individuals and public officials that had previously been kept private. While offshore business entities are legal, reporters found that some of the Mossack Fonseca shell corporations were used for illegal purposes, including tax fraud, evasion, and evading international sanctions. What does this have to do with Okada? Well, he's in the papers, meaning his company was pretty active throughout the years, up until about 2010, then it went down. He collaborated with Konami in 2013, and in 2016, the papers come out, and now he's gone. Many famous people were in those papers, as were many big-name companies, and it's a topic that is beyond my normal scope, but I would not be shocked if this embarrassing tax evasion would be enough for a person who isn't a big celebrity like Okada to disappear. After all, he's not Akira Toriyama. Yeah, Akira Toriyama's in those papers as well. It's been 4 years and we haven't heard anything from Okada in that time. Though, to be fair, everything about Gaia's lifespan that I've talked about has been incredibly hard to find online, with very little interviews or articles being published regarding that company or Okada after his departure from Atlas. And I think that good evidence of this is if you search through the sources on the bottom of my description, you'll find that the links will range pretty wildly, though I can't imagine that even if Okada came back that we'd know, because that Konami collab really only got one small sliver of attention. And that's really all I got. So in summation, he left Atlas. He didn't want to be chained to a franchise, and he went on to make his own game company without much success, and also had some shady dealings, then disappeared ever since. Sorry I couldn't find much more information besides some unsourced stuff from Wikipedia, but if I do, I will definitely consider creating a creator's video about him. Anyway, thanks for watching, and goodbye, fellow megatennists.